Hi guys, welcome to The Human and the Machine, where we talk to the teams developing some of the hottest and newest services in the DeFi space around the world. As usual, my friend Hikaru here, aka The Machine, a crypto junkie with a golden brain to make things easier for us.
And this is Tawi or T, an average person trying to get into the crazy world of crypto.
Okay, so if you are not very clear about the DeFi and the crypto world, no worries, because this guy is going to help us. And today we have the CEO and co-founder of DCTDAO, Matej Michalko. How are you, Matej? How's everything?
Hello, I'm good. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me here.
Wonderful. So you are into crypto, into DeFi. Tell us, please, a little bit before about your background and how did you start your company?
Sure. I got more than 10 years of background in the Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, and blockchain space. I started as a Bitcoin miner in 2010, mining Bitcoins on my laptop CPU, then moving to GPUs, FPGAs, and ASICs. In 2013, I organized the second Bitcoin conference that took place in the UK, called Bitcoin Expo 2013. It was in November 2013 in London. You got more than 1,000 people in there. I also organized the first international Bitcoin conference taking place in China in 2014. And I did a couple of other Bitcoin events, early events, and I did marketing and consulting services, working basically with the government to help them to implement the regulation of cryptocurrencies. This was all before 2014. Then in 2015, I founded Decent, which was one of the early blockchain companies doing an ICO back in 2016. And building decentralized ecosystem for digital content distribution. So I'm with Decent since early 2015. We developed into a multinational company, and basically we focus on implementing blockchain solutions in different verticals. So right now with DCTDAO, this is a natural continuation of what I have been doing during the last 10 years. Our mission is basically to bring superior cybersecurity and low transaction fees and great basically user base to the world of DeFi by building the world's first quantum resistant blockchain DEX.
That's pretty impressive, man. Like, you really have been there from the very beginning. Very solid, very impressive. And I will ask you at the end of the interview, once you finish describing everything about DCTDAO, about what is the outlook. How do you feel about, a lot of people are saying that we are getting closer and closer to 2017 kind of scenario. So I would like to know your thoughts a little bit later. But first of all, tell me, you started already, but put it in the simplest possible terms. What problems is DCTDAO resolving today and why?
All right, so DCTDAO has been the world's first quantum-resistant cross-chain DEX. It's solving the following problems. The problem number one, it doesn't make sense for someone to pay $100 in gas fees, right, to trade another $100, right? This just doesn't make sense. This needs to be lower, right? So that's we are up to. We want to enable anyone with the access to the internet connection and not forcefully with the access to a lot of capital to trade, right? The people will be able to trade with tens or just hundreds of dollars, right? So this is the first problem we want to solve, which is high gas, high transaction fees for transactions on decentralized exchanges, right? This is what we want to do. This is the first problem. Then the second problem is there are multiple blockchain ecosystems, right? Such as Ethereum, which I mentioned. There is Binance Smart Chain, there is Huobi blockchain, there is Phantom, there is Solana, there is Avax. There are many different blockchains which are not forcefully interconnected, right? So if users have assets on one blockchain, it's very hard to trade them for assets which are on another blockchain, right? So the blockchains ecosystem right now, there are a lot of great ones, right, already developed, but they are not interconnected, right? They are not really interconnected. So we are building these interconnections right, to make DCTDAO to be the most interconnected cross-chain DEX. So we are working on the cross-chain aspect, so users can seamlessly pass from one chain to another and not having this problem. So the second problem we are solving is the interconnectedness, the lack of interconnectedness of various blockchain ecosystems. So we are building a cross-chain DEX. This is the second problem. And the third problem is the cybersecurity itself, right? There were quite a lot of hacks, some number of hacks. Some of them were more famous, some of them were less famous, but it all started with this with the DAO in 2016, right, which was the first decentralized kind of the VC fund, right, and then it got hacked in 2016, and a lot of ETH were lost, and then the Ethereum community decided to reverse those transactions. So on the Ethereum network, those transactions were reversed, so people got their funds back. But some part of the community, created Ethereum Classic, and they said, okay, once it is in the blockchain, it should stay as is, right? So there was a fork, there was a hard fork of the Ethereum, right? The famous hard fork caused by this hack. Then another famous hack was the hack of the Parity wallet, right? The smart contracts in there as well. People lost a lot of funds from the multi-sig, multi-signature wallets, because this is not native on Ethereum blockchain. It is native on Bitcoin, for example, but not on Ethereum, right? So this was another one. And there were a lot of other hacks, probably less famous, until there was the Binance smart chain, basically the pancake swap hack of the DNS recently, right? This attack, which also made a lot of people to lose money. So we are focusing on the cybersecurity of the space, basically by auditing our smart contracts, cross-chain smart contracts, and developing our own cross-chain smart contracts, which are quantum resistance, quantum proof. So we are implementing algorithms standardized by NIST, National Institute for Standard and Technology, which could mitigate the quantum, the risk which is coming from the potential threat of the advent of quantum computers, which could come in the next years. So next year we will release an alpha version. So the third problem is the cybersecurity, the overall cybersecurity with a future-proof aspect of quantum resistance. So this is the third problem we are solving.
Fantastic.
Yeah, thank you. It's really interesting. You pretty much wrapped up the three most challenging problems in DeFi. So very relatable. And for those that are new to blockchain and crypto, they will very soon feel the pain. Now, to go deeper into like the fees, right? How is DCTDAO solving that issue? And in what way are you special from other platforms that claim to have low fees?
Yes, so basically the low fees are given by the blockchain itself, right? We can't change the transaction fees on Ethereum blockchain, right? This is what we can't really change because they are given, set by the miners. But what we can do is basically to enable the interconnectedness with other blockchains, which has lower fees, right? Such as we are building on Polkadot Moonbeam at the moment, which is in testnet phase, and the interconnectedness is provided or is going to be provided by the Polkadot relay chain, right? And what we can do is basically to automatically pass those transactions to the chain with lower fees, right? So the user is seeing the Ethereum right interface, but the internal transactions are done on another blockchain, right, or parachain, which has lower fees. So this is basically one of the ideas and aspects of the whole implementation.
Understood. Got it. Yeah, you kept mentioning like parachains. That leads me to like interoperability, right? For the average person, can you kind of explain what are the benefits, right, of interoperability, why we need cross-chain, and how is DCTDAO exactly doing it, in addition to, say, parachains?
Yes, so parachains, right, are aspect of the Polkadot ecosystem, right, which is one of the many blockchain ecosystem which are available, right? There is Ethereum, there is Cardano, there is Solana, there is Phantom, there is Binance Smart Chain, there is Huobi Chain, many different. Some of them are more centralized, some of them are less centralized, so more decentralized and so on. So one of the great benefits, right, of the Polkadot blockchain framework is that It provides the relay chain, which is the master Polkadot chain, and parachains, right? So for example, Moonbeam parachain and others, right? And those parachains are automatically connected to other parachains implementing the Polkadot basically interface, right? So the parachain is something like an independent blockchain ecosystem with their own validation and things, but implementing some interface from Polkadot, right, which is connected to the other. So this is the great advantage, which comes by implementing something on a Polkadot, right, parachain, by implementing the DEX, the Polkadot, the parachain interface, right? But what we do, we are not only Polkadot, right, because not all blockchains are Polkadot and they are more or less isolated, right? So we are building bridges on our own between Ethereum and Binance, between Ethereum and DCore blockchain, between Solana blockchain and others, between Phantom and so on. So we are basically interconnecting various different isolated blockchain ecosystem by building open source bridges, right? Which we have a development team which is working on that. So this is exactly how we are going. Doing it. The goal is to provide the best user experience, right? That the user can see the interface of the blockchain where the asset is in, right? And basically it can be swapped for assets from different other chains, not forcefully Polkadot or not forcefully interconnected. So this is what we are working on.
Okay, that's nice, man. And I have a question about the quantum proofing. I mean, it sounds really like, if you talk about it even a few years ago, it would be like, oh, come on, really? Do we need that? Do we need that? Or is it something that it may arise in 5-10 years? Or you just have too much imagination, bro?
Yeah. So do we need that? Well, it's like a little bit the 1995 question whether we need the internet if we have everyone is in the phone book. sorry for bringing this, or the 2010 or 11 question. Why do we need Bitcoin when we have the bank or whatever,
no,
right? So
it just sounds high, so like out there, and like for cost wise, it's not exactly like anyone can go and get a quantum computer. But I mean, you are thinking ahead, and that's fantastic. And there's an obvious need. Is it going to be now? Is it going to be in 5 years? When do you see this happening? And even from what kind of parties are they going to be using?
So it's a very good question, right, about the post-quantum age, when this is going to become. So maybe a little bit of history, right, to understand the future, because if one looks in the history, right, can better understand the future, because things often happen in cycles, right? So everything, maybe or many things that are going to happen already happened in some way. So how we got into the computing, right? We started with mechanical systems, right, for switching in 19th century. Then it evolved into the vacuum tubes or valves, right, which provided some kind of electronics, so the switching, and then it evolved into 1950s into transistors, right, with the discovery of transistors, which bring the solid state experience, which was faster, right, because the electrons traveled only through a solid state to one material, basically, or a alloy of materials, right? And then basically the Silicon Valley, right? People were building the computers out of transistors, which were interconnected through wires. And it was a lot about the length of the wires, right? Shorter the wires, faster it is, because the electrons travel shorter distance, right? And then it evolved into the microchips, right? And we all know Intel, right? And so on. And the microchips, the wires, the interconnections are basically getting shorter and shorter and shorter, right? So right now we are at 8 nanometers technology, or 12 or something like that, right? And it can go just somewhere, right? There is a plateau on the bottom, right? There is a full bottom, which is basically the size of the molecules of silicon material, right? Which you can't just make it smaller because of the size, right? So it will stop somewhere eventually. I don't know when, but it will stop. So there is a plateau of the binary computers and this technology. Right? Otherwise, if there is not other material, graphene maybe, I'm not sure, but there is some physical limits of this. So the computers, binary computers, would not have to be, or would not be possible for them to be really fast. Maybe it's about the parallelization or something. Maybe it's not really needed. Hard to say, but there are some physical limits. So that's why the people start to think more and more about the quantum computing, right? About a different paradigm, right? about not talking about the binary, about the zeros and ones, about the bits and bytes, but rather about qubits, which can have more states just as one, which are determined by the quantum mechanics. And there is already hardware available, right? There are machines with hundreds of qubits, more or less, which is commercially available right now. And but it's still too little, right? So, but in order to have a useful quantum computer, one would need to have about 1 million qubits, right? We are not there yet, at least commercially available. I'm not talking now about the military, right? The US Army or China Army or Russian military or other countries like France, UK or something, G8 countries. We don't know, right? Maybe there is something more available, but if DIMS comes, basically those exponential complexity problems, which are using the, let's say, asymmetric cryptography, public-private key will become logarithmic or maybe even less, and it would be much faster to break them. So it will be a huge challenge for the cryptography itself. And right now, it's not only about blockchain, right? We are one of the pioneers, right, in the blockchain area, right, focusing on innovation, right? But if you look at the enterprise level, right, of the cybersecurity, the quantum mitigation, the quantum risk mitigation is already there, and there are specialized companies focusing on that. There is a famous Quantum Valley in Canada, in Ontario, for example, next to Waterloo in British Columbia as well. They are investing a lot into the research of this. So Canada, US, commercially, they are living this now. So the situation is also a little bit like, if I just can jump back there, like the AI in 1980s, right? That we already had the theory, more or less, right? The basic one, but the hardware was missing, right? The 8286, 8386, 486 processors were just not enough, right, to run the AI, the deep learning for different neural networks. So we knew the theory, right? But there's the AI winter, and then it came after the year 2000, 2010, and so on. So I think that it's already important to look into this now. And when the quantum computer comes, no one knows, right? It will be after it was. Some things, so once it is, then we have it. But we will understand it better by making this software, right? And we will have a better software when it comes, right? So we are basically working on the implementation of the quantum resistant algorithm standardized by NIST, which are being standardized now, and we are bringing this into the blockchain to bring this experience to everyone on open source basis. So basically, in a nutshell, yeah.
Man,
I was Oh, go ahead, T.
Sorry, but I was just talking with you a little bit before the cameras started rolling, and I told you that people like people, not projects only. And when I hear you, I'm confident that you're the right person to be running a project like this. You're very knowledgeable, and that was a really, really impressive presentation and a little bit of history. That was really impressive. Thanks a lot, man. Hikaru, Machine, tell me, what was the question?
Okay, yeah, I just wanted to add on, very future forward looking. I really like that. Rather than just being another DeFi project, right? It's really much for the longer term, infrastructure wise. So very good to hear that. In terms of the other solution that DCTDAO is working on, is cross-chain, right? And there's lots of different assets. And for example, Polkadot was hot. Binance Smart Chain absolutely just exploded in the recent times. What kind of assets do you think will become much more popular for the rest of 2021?
What kind of assets? So in terms of the blockchain ecosystem, right, as I mentioned, there are a few big players, right? Ethereum, right now, Ethereum-based assets, everyone is starting somehow with ERC20, still the majority of the people, and then they do cross-chain or whatever. Then Binance Smart Chain is getting a lot of traction right now, and Polkadot as well. The current status with Polkadot parachain is that, for example, Moonbeam, it is not yet launched, right? The launch is expected for Q2/Q3, right? So when this launches, I think this will bring a lot of traction to the ecosystem. So for sure, Polkadot, Moonbeam, I think this is a project that will be hot, and we made it as a base. We built our MVP on top of Polkadot Moonbeam. It's available on the website, yeah. So, but we can't really launch, right, the production beta version of that because it's just a testnet right now, right? So this is the only aspect which is hampering us. But for sure, Polkadot Moonbeam, I think Cardano has some great stuff. Hobby Chain, it started Binance Smart Chain, although Binance Smart Chain is a little bit more centralized, right? As Polkadot. So if you go, we go with the decentralization aspect, just go to Polkadot, Moonbeam, for example, Kusama stuff. It's also fine. So we are looking into different ones. This is something which will get, in my opinion, traction this year, later on this year, Q3.
Understood. Great, great. In terms of all these features, right? There's a lot that DCTDAO definitely has to offer. What can you share with your community in terms of like upcoming features this year and perhaps for the longer term?
Sure. So right now we have, as I mentioned, the operational MVP running on our website on Polkadot Moonbeam, which can be tested and used. We have Ropsten as well, Ethereum Ropsten, and a couple of other test chains. And we would be launching this month our beta version, production beta version, which is going to be cross-chain. So we will launch it on Ethereum, Binance Smart Chain, and probably Phantom Chain as well to show the to the users the cross-chain experience. So this is what is going to be this month in April, most probably. We plan it for Q2, but it will be early Q2. Then in May, we plan to launch our Launchpad, which will basically bring new projects and new users to our DEX, right? And we will provide basically to the projects our network of the partners and our know-how to help them with their projects. So this is what is coming in later in late May, most probably, of this year. And basically towards the end of the year, we plan to launch the full cross-chain product with more blockchains. But we do not only want to focus on swap, right? Because if you go on Uniswap, right, exchange, for instance, or most of the DEX, what the DEX are providing is the swap function. You can swap one asset for the other. But what most of the DEXs are missing, or most of the biggest DEXs are missing, are the actual trading interface, like those candle charts, and maybe leverage trading and margin trading and this stuff. So there's a lot of new development needed for this. However, we are up to that as well to provide to the traders the comprehensive experience. Yeah, so this should also come later on this year. And in parallel, basically, we are working on quantum proofing the blockchain itself, right? By implementing the quantum resistant algorithm. So alpha version should come out early in Q1 next year in 2022, because obviously this takes some time. But the development is continuous, and we look basically for people who would like to contribute, who are interested in the quantum resistance of blockchain ecosystem, and in particular of trading of blockchain assets, so like the decentralized exchange of DEX. So it's all available on GitHub. And basically, in a nutshell, this is what we are up to right now. Of course, with every day, everything is developing, right? We know much more today as we knew yesterday. So there might be a few slight changes, or maybe new features, or we will do something less or something more, so more or less as the market is developing, right?
So true. So true. We start wrapping up this interview. First, anything else you would like to add about your project, about what you want the community to know about it? Is there anything else significant that you want to share with us? Or otherwise, I want you to answer my question about the 2017. Are we heading that way?
Okay, so 2017, I will answer first if I can, whether we are heading. If you mean the 2017, the ICO hype, do you mean this, or yeah?
Yeah. The hype, and then the terrible crash, and a lot of people feel like something similar is happening. I don't see it personally that way, but since I have you here right now, all for us, I want you to please answer this.
Yeah, so I would just base it on history, right? Because in my opinion, this behaves in circles, right? There's the financial markets behave in circles, right? There is the boom and bust, right? And the capitalism in general is boom and bust, right? In my opinion. So yeah, it's cyclical. It's not linearly. It's somehow linearly going forward, right? But in cycles, right? So and one doesn't really know when there is the top of the cycle, right? So If someone knows to determine this, they will be they will be very, very famous, I think, beforehand. So, I did ICO before the hype, right? With the community support in 2016, we were the top 9 projects, ICO projects by volume of 2016 before the hype. Then I've seen the ICO hype, right? Projects raising like $200 million or something USD without offering, that much value. So we know how it works, right? So we really are up to providing the value before there is really something, and there are users. So what I think, it behaves in cycles. So once it gets on top, right, it will go down for some time and then it turns again. Yeah. So this is what I think. This is my opinion. Yeah. And whether it's going to be like 2017, like to crash fast or something, I don't know. I just can't know this, but for sure it's cyclical, right? So it's like on a clock, right? It's going from 12 to 6 and 12 to 6, and so yeah, this is it. Yeah, but you need for 10 years, bound, right, for Bitcoin. So I've seen that how it started and what it's doing. So yeah, and basically with the people, to answer the first question or the first suggestion, to give some more information about DCTDAO. So I would like to mention that DCTDAO is a DAO, right? Decentralized Autonomous Organization as well. So DCT is a governance token as well, right? So people can vote for features and for development and stuff like that. But this is not yet implemented, as we are focusing on the DEX features. So this is going to come a little bit later as well. So there is the governance currently with the token as well.
Beauty. Hikaru, questions, bro?
No, I think we covered about, just about everything. Very excited, and yeah, can't wait for the quantum proofing to become a reality soon.
Yeah, that's great, man. Thank you very much, Matej. Good luck. And if you don't mind, we're going to we want to hear from you again, maybe 3 months, 6 months. This is a podcast where we just don't want to show people just new projects, but we also want to do follow-ups, right? So people know what happened, right? It's like a nice story that we hope has an amazing end for you guys and for the community that is going to join you. All the best, seriously. You have a great team, great concept, great project, great clarity. So thank you very much for being with us, man.
Thank you so much for having me here, and I would love to join the follow-up interview in 3 months or 6 months or even more interviews. Yeah, we are full-time on this project, so I hope it's gonna be good.
Thank you very much, Matej. Have a beautiful, beautiful time, whatever time it is in
it's afternoon.
Dubai, right?
Thank you. You have a great time.
Okay. Okay. So you take care, mate. Bye. See you. Bye. Hikaru, Mr. Machine, what do you think, bro?
Yeah, I mean, very solid. I would say very experienced and technical, CEO. I like how they're very straightforward, right? Solving the 3 most important crises in DeFi: low fees. The gas prices, interoperability, and also security is a huge aspect. And I do like their long-term focus with the quantum proofing. What did you think, T?
Yeah, I like, this is like one of those guys you won't like to have to be your teacher, right? Because he's like, okay, look at this. He's very knowledgeable. He is actually very clear in the way he delivers, right? And what you say is totally true. I mean, this guy's just going straight to the point and getting like resolving like the gas thing is really, really an issue for a lot of people, right? Like you cannot have like so much money all the time, right? To afford these 100, 200, 500 of thousands of dollars in gas fee, right? So that's good. And we have seen all these hacks, right? Like happening. Like I actually have lost a lot of money myself, like investing in tokens that companies got hacked, right? And then they just lost like 50, 60% of the project in a minute. So I love what he's doing. Really, it's really good, man. Hopefully this guy and his team like go where they should. Like it's like full success.
Exactly, yeah. And one more thing is the cross-chain interoperability. I really think that's going to be a huge necessity. If not now, very soon in the future. So I'm very excited to see what this project can pull off and see how it can really benefit the end users.
Yep, agree. Well, Man, thank you very much. One more under the belt. Let's meet next week, huh? So guys, thank you very much for listening. This will be The Human and the Machine, where we always bring you the teams developing some of the hottest and newest services in the DeFi space. Thank you very much and see you next week. Bye-bye.